My name is Johnjo, and I remember everything. Hey, welcome back, and I hope you've been following along with this playlist with me and Berryman doing the Resident Evil games and the films, because this is the 4th video in the series. And if you haven't seen the other videos, then go watch them. So Berryman's covered, in the last video, things that Resident Evil could have done better in the films. And in my last video, I promised I'd tell you guys why George A. Romero was fired from the Resident Evil films. So he was fired because... Nope, sorry, you're gonna have to stick around again to find out why. As some of you may already know, Matthew Santoro is the reason that I started making YouTube videos myself. I mean, after 9 years of watching his videos, I thought I'd give it a go myself. And I've covered Matthew Santoro as well in my videos, right here. What some of you may not know about Matthew Santoro and why I'm talking about him in Resident Evil is that he was actually hired as a zombie for Resident Evil The Final Chapter, which made me so happy because that's my favourite YouTuber, along with my favourite film franchise, and then they decided to cut his scene, so he didn't get part of it. But you could see it on Matthew Santoro's second channel, like his experience for it all, however that video is now deleted. Resident Evil Ground Zero was going to be the original title to give reference that the game was actually after the film, so the film was a prequel. And all the way through production, the film was referred to as Ground Zero, but instead they decided to just stick to Resident Evil. Alice, the most dominant character of the Resident Evil films, was never in the games. The director Allison decided to add Alice in so that people who hadn't played the games would still enjoy the film. Alice's name is never spoken in the first film. The only way you'd know her name is by waiting until the end credits to see her name listed. Like, seriously, watch it again. You will not hear a reference to as Alice. This was intentional because she started the film with memory loss and didn't know who she was, so the viewers didn't know who she was either. It was just that element of immersion into the first film. In Resident Evil, the first film, there's a subtle reference to just general game mechanics. So as a group of people go through this corridor with the lasers, they get locked in, and lasers come at them and cut them into tiny pieces, and body parts are all over the floor. And then Alice and Kaplan go in there and complete the mission anyway, and then when they leave, they end up coming back to that room. And because they left and came back, just like in a video game, those bodies have disappeared. There is not an explanation for why this happens, it was just a reference to how game mechanics work. One of my favourite actresses, Michelle Rodriguez, who I've mentioned before in a different video about Fast and Furious. Well, Michelle Rodriguez loved the Resident Evil games so much that she told her agent if they ever wrote a film for Resident Evil to contact her. And when they did, Michelle Rodriguez jumped right in there. And even though she died in the first film, that did not stop her returning in the 5th film as 2 different characters. Good and bad Rain. God, she's a nightmare. The main cast were required to play and complete the games of Resident Evil so that they'd have a better understanding of the world they're jumping into. Some of the cast feared that they wouldn't be able to complete the game in time before filming began, and decided to acquire video footage to complete it that way, so that they at least have that understanding. Alright, as promised, George A. Romero was fired simply because Capcom producer Yoshiki Okamoto said his script just wasn't good. I mean, George A. Romero's style just isn't for Resident Evil. He tried to keep elements of the game, but he also added some Native American stuff in there, and they just didn't really like it that much, and they also found that his versions were very, very gory, which isn't quite what they were going for. And for that reason, they ultimately went with Paul W.S. Anderson. Before Resident Evil, Mila Jovovich actually gained popularity as a fashion model. That makes sense because in Resident Evil Extinction, the third film, she even designed her own costumes for that film. Deciding that they wanted some form of industrial rock to go with the films, they decided to team up Marco Beltrami, if that's how you pronounce his name again, with Marilyn Manson. And they thought it worked perfectly well, and I agree. The music for that film was done really well, and well, I think that at least anyway. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below what you think about the music of Resident Evil. Anyway, so that's it for Fast Facts about Resident Evil, the games and the films. And if you haven't seen Berryman's videos, then go check those out, because I'm in one of them, and I talk about Wesker's death. Because, like, I won't tell you. Go watch it. Go watch me over there and you'll find out what I mean. And if you want to see more from me, then let me know in the comments below what you want to see next, and I'm sure I'll get around to it eventually. And anyway, thank you Berryman for having do this collaboration together. It was awesome. And for any viewers watching, if you want to see Berryman's channel, I'll leave an end screen clip somewhere, like here, I think. And yeah, so have a good day everyone. See you later. How'd that go? And I've covered Matthew Santoro in my Fast Facts before, and link is here. Alice's name is never smoken.